The Iron Bowl, a game JP will potentially and hopefully be attending, because if he's attending, it means State won the Egg Bowl, and that is a
that'd be
massive
nice.
dub. But this game just has all the feels of an upset, a game Alabama should be scared of, considering their playoff destiny is now on the line. They lose this game, they're going to be out. And Auburn wins, and they get to go to a bowl game. And there's all this weird mojo, some good, some bad. Hugh Freeze is no longer there. DJ Durkin's the coach. You've had high offensive output since then. You've had low offensive output since then. They literally sat Ashton Daniels last week, so he'd be ready for this game. Does he have some kind of moment in him? And all of that culminating with Alabama's run game struggles and Auburn's regularly stout defense means this is only a 6.5-point spread at Auburn. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, last 5 of 6 Iron Bowls in Jordan-Hare have been nothing short of classics, nothing short of games that are on the highlight tapes that you watch late at night. 2013 was the kick 6. I don't have to say anything more. There goes Chris Davis. 2015 is the only one that wasn't a classic. Bama and Derrick Henry blew out a 6-6, or I should say a 6-5 Auburn at the time, en route to a national title. Derrick Henry absolutely cooked Auburn in Jordan-Hare. But since then, 2017, 11-0 Bama was poised to go undefeated, is upset by 10-1 Auburn. Auburn goes to the SEC title game with Jarrett Stidham and loses to Georgia, thus allowing Bama to slide back into the 4 spot in the playoff. They beat the brakes off of Kelly Bryant in New Orleans and Clemson, and then win the national title game with the Tua second half in Georgia as a true freshman. 2019, number 5 Bama rolls in and loses a classic shootout with Bo Nix, 48-45. End up missing the playoff. This is the year that Tua got hurt here in Starkville, and it was Mac Jones that played in that game. But it was a shootout to the end, 48-45. And then the last 2 years, or the last 2 games in Jordan-Hare, 2021, Bama was number 3 in the country. Auburn was 6-5 again. It's 10-3 Auburn. They lead with 1:32 left in the 4th. They punt it. Bryce Young is pinned at the 3-yard line. Bama has scored 3 points at that point in the game. Bryce Young goes 97 yards to score a touchdown and tie the game. And then they play 4 overtimes, and Bama ends up winning it in the 4th overtime. I watched that in a Pyro's Pizza in Tupelo, Mississippi. I will never forget it. And then 2023, Bama is the number 8 team in the country. Auburn is again 6-5. Jalen Milroe hits Isaiah Bond in the end zone on 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. I, again, was in Tupelo, Mississippi for that game. Absolute classics every single time in Jordan-Hare. So what will the story be this time? And you can't even say that the factors that Auburn has gone through this season, and even Bama as well, will have any impact on, those should favor towards Bama, because I would like to tell you that quarterbacks that started in these Auburn games have been TJ Finley has started in one of these games. Of course, Jarrett Stidham, Nick Marshall, Bo Nix. He was a true freshman in that game, if I'm not mistaken, as well. The only thing that has changed is this is the first one where we have an interim head coach for Auburn in DJ Durkin. Cadillac, after the Brian Harsin year, was in Tuscaloosa, so a different story to that one. What will the story be this time, though? Ashton Daniels will start. They did not play him last week. I've heard it was because they wanted to save him for the Bama game, but I also heard it was so they could save his red shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double. It was a thing of, like, we want him to be able to red shirt, and so obviously we're going to choose he plays the Bama game over the Mercer game, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Look, he, in the one game that he's played in SEC play, was dynamic.
He played against Kentucky, too.
He played didn't he replace?
He started.
Oh, that's right. He started.
And it was bad enough that Jackson Arnold came back in.
And then, yes, okay. But in the game that Auburn fans are going to remember on Saturday leading up to
post Hugh Freeze firing, he's played one game,
correct,
SEC game,
and he played against Vandy with DJ Durkin. He was dynamic, 31 for 44, 353 through the air, 89 on the ground, and 3 total touchdowns against Vandy in Vanderbilt in Nashville. Bama's defense, though, has stepped up as of late, and they've been really up to the task when it comes to not allowing points. That's kind of been their recipe all year, is score 28 and give up like 21. That is how they've won essentially every game that they've played this year, and I imagine they'll look to do that again in Auburn this weekend. The spread opened at 3.5. I know we talked about that yesterday. It has been bet all the way up to 6.5 now, and I don't know why, given the history that I just gave you.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I guess they're expecting,
Wait, so if it opened at 3.5,
and it's been bet up to 6.5, meaning everyone is putting money on Bama.
yeah. So it would have been a neutral site, Bama by like 7.
Give or take, yes.
Okay. Makes
Seven,
sense.
7 or 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why, because you can't rewrite the history of the Iron Bowl and Jordan Hare. You also can't rewrite the history of Kalen DeBoer on the road. He has not been excellent on the road. They had 3 losses on the road last year.
You're still betting on the better team, though. I get there's all this history and stuff.
That's a lot of money to come in to move that line 3 points.
3
though.
points.
someone probably bet 10 million.
Some
Mattress
sharks.
Mac decided to get in on this game
I'm
from
sure.
Texas.
Look, and Bama lost also on the road this year to Florida State. It's just for Bama. I think it's another matchup where it's almost identical to the Oklahoma matchup, where Auburn is elite against the run. They're the 9th best in the country, but they're not good against the pass. They're 98th in the country. Now, Oklahoma was 35th in the country at that point. And once again, or not once again, the opposite, though, of that OU game was, if you remember the OU game in the preview and in the breakdown, Bama was much better at forcing turnovers than Oklahoma. Auburn's better than Bama at forcing turnovers. They're plus 11 in the turnover margin to Bama's 6. I think that plays a huge, huge factor. I think we're at this point, you could almost make the same case for Ty Simpson that you could for Marcel Reed. It is worse for Marcel Reed, I would argue, but Ty Simpson is due for an interception in Auburn this weekend. It'll be a question of whether or not they convert off of said interception, because I think they're going to have a really tough time moving the football. He had 2 picks against Eastern Illinois last week and a pick against Oklahoma. Prior to that, he had only had 1 pick all season. I didn't watch the Eastern Illinois game, but if you threw 2 picks to Eastern Illinois, I'm going to question your decision-making coming into this Auburn game.
According to DeBoer, he basically was just trying to force the issue and push the issue. It's kind of, I think, a thing of which you can't do this as a QB. I'm not trying to excuse it, but oh man, I smell blood in the water, and then you get a little over eager and over aggressive, and then you make a mistake.
Well, I've got a problem with that. I think that's a huge potential in this game. The momentum swing from a Ty Simpson interception, or just a Bama turnover in general, which they had 3 of them against OU. How well does Auburn get after the quarterback? They've done a fine job at that. They've got playmakers up there. Are they as good as Oklahoma was against Bama? And then does the fact that Ashton Daniels has only started 2 games help Auburn or hurt Auburn?
Yeah.
Does it help them because they don't have a lot of tape, as in Bama doesn't have a lot of tape? They don't know how to stop him. And Bama has, as Sanders has said many times, struggles with running quarterbacks, and Ashton Daniels can run. Or does it hurt Auburn because he's never played in a moment like this, and now he's playing the Iron Bowl, bowl eligibility, knock Alabama out of the playoff? It is, in my opinion, the biggest game of the weekend in terms of just impact. There are results that would have a bigger impact. Like if Michigan beats Ohio State, that has a bigger impact. But I think regardless of impact or regardless of result, this will have the biggest impact between the 2 programs. Does him not have playing in any game like that hurt them as well? Those are the things I'm really curious to see. I hope I get to be at this game. That would be a dream. I have not seen a Jordan Hare night game. I've seen 2 day games.
Sure.
So I would just love to see that. But y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I actually
As the
wasn't
2
gonna,
Alabama fans.
I was not going to bring up the running back, the quarterback rushing situation, just because since that Florida State game for Gunnar Stockton, 5 carries, 22 yards. They hold Lenore Sellers to one more than 66 yards. They play John Mateer. I believe he finished with maybe in the 20s.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull all these box scores up as I talk. Yeah, 23 yards and a touchdown on 10 carries. So really, since the Florida State game, where I kind of harped on, wow, y'all got cooked by Tommy Castellanos, and you still have all these dual threat quarterbacks left on the schedule. You face Gunnar Stockton, Diego Pavia, Bo Perbula, Lenora Sellers, John Mateer. Since then, they've done a much better job about handling it. They have not gotten burned in the same way. Now, that's not to say that that's not still a possibility, but I will be interested to see how that goes. I'm a lot like had they been burned by other quarterbacks in the same way they got burned by Castellanos, I'd be nervous about that matchup.
Sure.
But it really, I'm less concerned now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still been moments in those games where it's kind of like shown. They're
Yeah.
not like, it's not like they've done a full 180, you know. And
Yeah,
I know this is not what you're saying, but just like there is a chance it could happen. I mean, Mateer rips off the one, but that is definitely a concern. I love like the impact piece of it because a couple things that could happen if Auburn wins. DeBoer's not going to get fired, but the noise around like we want
missed the playoff twice at Alabama.
he was going to get one more year.
I know they won't get fired, but that is a
Yeah,
huge
correct.
storyline.
We're going to be back to after the Florida State game where people are like, if I win the lottery, I'm firing, Kalen DeBoer, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does Auburn just hire DJ Durkin? Like, I think that's a legit possibility at that point.
Same or Summerall, at least.
Yeah.
Like at this point.
Stuff like that
I think
comes into play.
Durkin it's a good argument for Durkin just because Auburn is talented. Like everyone knows that, and so if you can keep a guy on staff and you can keep together a lot of the core pieces of that really good defense, and you can keep Cam Coleman, you can keep Deuce Knight. Like if you can keep all that talent that you've accrued in house, and then go find the assistant coaches to develop and maximize that talent, I think that's what Auburn will want to do.
The thing that really interests me about this game, and I think it makes it an almost impossible game to pick, aside from the history, is kind of the Jekyll and Hyde that Auburn's been recently of, man, that was a really great performance against Vandy, and that Vandy defense has been pretty good all year. But then also you gave up 40-plus points to Vandy, and your defense hasn't really been that all year. You've had a good defense. So it's like, what defensive type of performance are we going to get?
Yeah.
And what offensive performance are we going to get? Are we going to get the high? Are we going to get the low on both sides of the ball? And there's just so many variables, new QBs, new coaches. How in the world is Auburn going to come out in this game? I can't begin.
It's the biggest mystery of the weekend.
Correct. I can't begin to make a read on how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, and they wouldn't be. They could score 3 points. I'd be like,
that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. They could score 35. I'd be like, sure, yeah, makes sense. There's just no way to know. For Bama, you already said it. Ty Simpson, you got to get back to taking care of the football. You have to. It's what made you so great because the offense doesn't really score a ton, but they were taking care of the football so much and just letting their defense do what they did. Mm-hmm. The turnovers have really been killer. And then for Bama's defense, I think the game plan should be, let's sell out to stop the run. We like our DBs. I know it's Cam Coleman and Eric Singletary, but at least to start the game, make Ashton Daniels connect those passes. Make him find them. Mm-hmm. And then if he does that, okay, then we'll back off. But to start the game, I just would not let them run the football. I'd make them hit shots. It's not like Ashton Daniels has been the guy for that long. I don't know what the chemistry's like there. Once again, you got to trust your DBs a good bit. They've been good for the backstretch of this season. That's what I would do. And then, once again, if they start hitting pop plays in the passing game, okay, then we'll give them a bunch of help over the top. But I wouldn't let them settle in and be running the ball because Auburn has a pretty solid rushing attack there. So I wouldn't want that to settle in.
Yeah, you speak to making them throw the football. Their 2 highest passing yards total are their last 2 games against Mercer and Vanderbilt. Other than that, their highest was 250 for Jackson Arnold against Ball State. In Power 4 games, their highest is 220 with Jackson Arnold against OU.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned the Jekyll and Hyde, did you mention the game before the Vanderbilt game, the Kentucky game?
Yeah,
okay.
Correct. That's part of what I was alluding to, but it is tough because the coach is new. So then it's is that really a thing of the past? Probably. You can't assume it's fully gone. But Hugh Freeze is gone. But it's a great point. You put up, 10 points?
3. You lost 10-3.
10-3 against Kentucky. That's
at home.
Yep. I mean, that's what got Hugh Freeze fired. You can't do that.
Too.
Yeah.
But the defense showed up in that game.
Yeah. And then you, like you said, gave up 45 to Vandy the next week, but you scored 38.
It was in overtime. They gave up 38 in regulation, but still.
If someone told me, I have a read on how this game is going to go, I would just be like, you're wrong.
Well,
You're
it
right.
is one of those things of
Unless your read is, I don't know what's going to happen.
you could just get lucky, or that.
Mhm.
That
But that's
was-
what that's what I'm going to say. Like, you haven't really made a read. You've made a guess.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, that was a tied for the most points they had scored. The most points they had scored, 38 points against Baylor. If they take all the points from that game and just sprinkle it into all their other close games, we could be talking about a 10-1 Auburn right now.
Well, they argue that officiating is the
Has
difference.
cost them.
Really, the
True.
OU game, the Georgia game, they don't.
Well, that
argue
finally
that
came
for
to
the
a
A&M game.
That finally came to a halt in the Kentucky game. When they
Yes.
finally were like, okay, we're just bad.
Absolutely. This is 6:30 on ABC. If State wins the Egg Bowl, I will be there, which means we'll have boots on the ground for this game. And
This is a Saturday game, right?
Saturday
Yeah.
night. ABC, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit.
I should be back by then. Thankfully, I won't be trying to watch it in the car.
Yeah, Bama.
I'm very grateful. I do hate that, the extra Friday football complicates Thanksgiving travel plans and everything. But I'm also grateful because it means that the games when I'm not there's more games when I'm not working that I get
Sure.
to watch. So
Bama opened as 3.5-point favorites, and before we swing it to the two Bama fans here, I am going to take Auburn to cover 6.5 points. Again, like I said, I don't understand how this got up to 6.5 from 3.5. Sanders speculates that some sharks laid some big money on this game. I'm going to have to consult with the guy who looks a lot like the guy from 99 Day Fiance that was had the really
Yeah, I know who you're talking about because I've seen the
with
memes.
the ponytail.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a guy who's a Vegas sportsbook guy that does TikToks every week, and he talks about where the Sharks are putting the money on. I'll consult him on Bama Auburn
Please do.
to see if the Sharks
You'll have to
roll
let us
over
know.
Bama.
you are on a different side of TikTok than I am.
Look up 99 Day Fiance.
What is his name? Like Joe? I'm trying to think of his name
Something
because I
like
should
that.
know his name.
I should know his name as
because he's
well.
iconic. I mean, he was like a
And then
massive internet meme.
When
for a
I
while.
find that TikTok, I will send the TikTok, and he looks exactly like him, just with glasses.
99 Day Fiance.
I think it's 90. But
90 Day Fiancé.
99 should pop up. I would imagine.
Bert, maybe.
It is 90 Day Fiance. This guy, Bert.
No,
Ben
go to
Breath-
images.
No, yeah, go to images.
I bet it'll pop up pretty quick. There he is.
Yes, that guy.
So the Vegas guy
Looks
like
exactly
that.
like that guy, but with glasses.
Ed. His name is Ed.
Ed, that's right.
Yeah.
So I will consult him as to whether or not Sharks put a ton of money on Bama, or if it was the public that put a bunch of money on Bama. But I don't understand how it got to 6.5. I'll take Auburn plus 6.5 all day. I think there are so many results that lean towards Auburn at least covering 6.5, if not winning the game outright. But like Jack said, there's so much variance in this game. This is a guess. It's a shot in the dark.
How can
just
Auburn
gonna-
limit that variance?
They would have to, I would argue, run the ball well and run the ball a lot.
That's how every
and
team limits
limit
variance, right?
The amount of possessions. That's how you would limit. That's how anyone would limit variance in any football game.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is
just
limit the
limit
amount
the-
of possessions.
Yeah.
Plays run even.
Yes, even
Points
better.
scored even.
There could be an argument because you could go 3 and out on 3 incompletions every single drive, and no clock burns.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of variance there.
Yeah.
All that being said, give me Auburn, and now the Bama fans can pick.
Go Sanders.
See, I'm going to pick Alabama to cover here, and the accusations of me being an Alabama fan are going
correct.
to fly.
You
All-
have said roll tide. So
I have said roll tide. I'm not going to tell that story again. I'm going to pick Alabama to cover the 6.5. I think Alabama is a better team than Auburn. I think Alabama is more put together right now than Auburn is with the coaching stuff. So I'm going to go Alabama to win by a touchdown because that's all it takes to cover the 6.5. So it's a really nice number for Alabama to cover.
you disappoint me, Sanders, because I was really hoping I'd be alone on the Alabama side because I really got some ground to make up. And that is partially why I'm picking Alabama. Not entirely because I said I'd never do that again. I am leaning Alabama. The unpredictability of it does scare the crap out of me. But the fact that 6.5, like I just need a touchdown win. All the chaos in the world can happen. It could be a tie game, and Ty Simpson can fumble, and an offensive lineman can pick it up and run it 40 yards for a touchdown.
Can he advance a fumble?
Not on fourth down,
Not on fourth down.
but it
Okay.
could be third down, and they
Hurt.
could do it. Caden Proctor, he has some experience in that
Wheels.
field. Maybe he gets a little hurdle in, a little Heisman pose at the end.
Sure.
But give me Alabama, and I really hoped I'd be alone on that island.
How many touchdowns does Caden Proctor need to vault himself into the Heisman conversation?
7 or 6
Sure.
on Saturday.
And you really have done us even dirtier because now you've just validated his point even more.
About us being Bama
You have
fans?
fanned his flames. You've stoked his fire. Yeah.
That's all right,
I mean, I at least admit it. I don't know why you won't admit it.
because I'm not a Bama fan.
But that's just denial.
I recognize that Alabama is a good football team.
That's a denial.